This is the Kitchen Sink WP podcast, episode 569.
I program my home computer.
We have a server crash, 404 error, page not found, links aren't working, system is crashing, system is crashing, system is crashing.
Your old HTML website, barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website, better than it was before. Better, stronger, faster. Why? Hello, everybody. This is Adam Silver, the host of the Kitchen Sink WP podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, upcoming events. There are none next weekend. Kind of sad, but true, and that happens from time to time. Obviously, can't have a work camp every weekend. But that said, go outside, get some fresh air, get vitamin D wherever you live. Move the body. All right, moving on. Segment one in the news. One thing to talk about here. This was actually about a week ago, and I meant to mention it. Totally forgot. But GiveWP has a critical vulnerability that has been patched, but you need to update it. So GiveWP is a plugin that people use to help raise funds, and a lot of nonprofits use it, and a whole bunch of my clients use it. So it's important that you take care of this. They have 100,000 active installations, so you need to go to version 3.19.4. And in our case, actually, I have a client who reached out. We already knew about it, but they have an old version of Core. And of course, that's on us as hosting and maintenance for this client, but their host, they actually don't host with me and my server. It's a long story, but their hosting has been the issue for many years, and we're working on it to update their core safely so then we can finally update their, GiveWP. There's a couple hiccups there. So just be sure you update GiveWP. Make sure you have the latest version of Core across the board as well, because those things are all very important, because you don't want to have this vulnerability in there to where your site can be attacked, hacked, misguided, or having a cross-script vulnerability, etc. So anyway, there you go. All right, moving on to the meat potatoes segment 2. But first, a word from our sponsor. This episode of the Kitchen Sink WP podcast is brought to you by our friends over at Rapid Cloud, your one-stop solution for WordPress hosting that's fast, secure, and reliable as it gets. First, let's talk about blazing performance. With free redress and Object Cache Pro baked in, Rapid.cloud ensures your WordPress site loads faster than ever, because no one likes a slow site. It's true, no one does. Got a traffic surge? No problem. Rapid Cloud's dynamic auto-scaling adjusts seamlessly to handle those spikes, keeping your site up and running no matter what. And security you ask about? Well, they've got you covered there too, with rock-solid protection, including vulnerability detection and virtual patching, so you can focus on creating without worrying about hackers. And when you need help, their 24/7 expert support is always just a click away. So if you're ready to level up your WordPress hosting game, visit rapid.cloud today. That's rapyd.cloud, and check them out. Thanks again to Rapid.cloud for supporting the podcast and for making WordPress hosting simple, fast, and secure. All right, moving on to segment 2, meat potatoes. This week, I'm talking about choosing the right business structure for your WordPress business, or really any business for that matter, but obviously focusing on things that we all do in WordPress, because business structures matter. From small to medium-sized business owners, they just do, and it can really affect how it impacts your taxes, your liability, your growth potential, etc. So currently, and there are a couple of different business entities you can do here. I currently run my company as an LLC, sole proprietor. There are others out there that do C Corp, S Corp, and we're going to talk about those in a second. I'm going to define what types there are out there, the benefits, the taxation options, and why it matters. And full disclosure, I am not a financial expert. I'm not a lawyer, so you need to follow up with your own professionals for that as well. I'm just giving information, not offering advice, if that makes sense. Okay. So first and foremost, the structures. There are 5 of them. Okay, so there's a DBA, doing business as, and it is really useful for freelancers and very small startups. So that way you can have someone write you a check or pay you in a sense of you're doing business as companyxyz.com or whatever it may be. So that way you don't have to do business as your own name. You could use your name as well, but it's better to have a DBA just to have a little bit of protection. But truth be told, there's no personal liability protection there. It's just kind of a namesake entity. So my parent company, Silver Lining Productions, used to be just a DBA. And then I incorporated it to an LLC when I lived in Colorado. So there's pros. It's really easy to do. It's really affordable. But there's nothing fancy about it. There's no protections there from a liability perspective. Okay. Moving off of that into a sole proprietorship, you can do that for one business as well. Again, still no personal liability protection. So going the next level, this is what I recommend, or this is what I've done. I don't want to recommend anything. What I've done is I've gone to an LLC, limited liability company. The benefits here are personal liability protections, flexibility in management and taxation. I have options to be treated as a sole proprietor, a partnership, or elected to be taxed as an S Corp, which I have not done yet. So, and many small businesses do start right here. And the reason being are a variety of things. Taxes, primarily having board of directors potentially, or partnerships, etc. So there's that. Keep in mind that actually you can have both, and I do have both. I have a DBA and the LLC, but the LLC kind of supersedes, I believe that's the way I want to word it, my DBA. So for tax purposes, I file my taxes as an individual, but I do a Schedule C. Doing the LLC kind of protects that as well. Okay, moving to the next level is an S Corp. Okay, benefits here is pass-through taxation, savings on self-employment taxes. I would love to save that on self-employment taxes. I don't know what that means on pass-through taxation technically. I mean, I kind of do, but I don't. The challenges, of course, would be stricter regulations, shareholder limits, and the need for a reasonable salary allocation. So you can pay yourself and have some taxation benefits there, but it has to be a reasonable amount. So if you happen to make, let's say, $100,000 a month in MRR, monthly recurring revenue, and so you're making, what's that, 1.2 million a year, 1.1 million, whatever that is, 1.2 million a year, but if you only pay yourself, $1,000, that's not a, reasonable salary, because you're trying to kind of work around the taxes issue for personal taxes. So you have to be careful of that. But there's stricter regulations there on that. A reasonable salary, of course, would be, let's say, 3, 4, 5, 10,000 if you're making 100,000 a month. So of course you need to talk to your professional there as well. Okay, moving past the S Corp is the C Corp, and it's beneficial for larger businesses and potential for venture capital investment. The downsides would be double taxation and higher admin requirements. A lot more paperwork from what I've read and dove into, and I don't see myself currently ever doing a C Corp. Well, I don't say ever, just in the next 2 to 5 years, not really a thing I'm looking at. So again, DBA, doing business as a sole proprietorship, an LLC, S Corp, C Corp. I have both the DBA and an LLC, but my LLC is a sole proprietor. So how does that work moving forward for taxes? Well, actually, the next topic is an EIN, which stands for Employer Identification Number. And the question being, do you need one? Well, yes, I think you need one. I do. I have one. And just so you know, an EIN can move with your company name indefinitely, meaning it doesn't matter what state you're in. My LLC was formed in Colorado originally, and then I moved it back to California, and then I moved it over here to back to North Carolina. I kept the EIN, and I'm using my Silver Lining Productions as my parent company. When I did my LLC in North Carolina, I spelled it exactly the same. I already had an EIN, so I didn't have to reapply. It's required if you have employees, if you're opening business bank accounts and filing taxes, and that's how I use it. And that way, I don't need to give my social, because the social security number is really a personal thing, and you don't want to have to share that if you don't have to. Okay. Whereas, if you're just doing a DBA, you're going to be giving your social to get like 1099s, etc. So now, when is a good time to do this? I think start of the year, right now. We're at the third weekend of January, but now is not a terrible time because it aligns the business goals to the proper structure. Deadlines for electing an S Corp is usually March 15th. There's benefits here for early tax advantages. Again, go talk to a tax professional, not me on this, but it's something to start thinking about. And I am now moving forward thinking about transitioning into an LLC to an S Corp. I'm considering this primarily for the taxes and giving myself a fair salary. Now, I still pay myself through what I've talked about many times in the past, that being profit first methodology, but I might switch this year, sometime this year, maybe next year latest. We'll see what happens in the next 6 to 12 months into an S Corp, just to see about that. And then maybe even put my wife in the company as well if she does work for me. I'm not going to be doing it and trying to scam anybody, but you can actually have your family members as employees and get some benefits there as well. Quick note real quick on the EINs. I wanted to mention, I'm 99.9% sure it didn't cost any money to do that. It did cost me money, a few $100 back in Colorado to do the LLC. I used a website, my corporation, to do that, but I did it myself here in North Carolina. It was super cheap. It was like $150. And then every year I have to file an annual report to North Carolina. It's just for taxes. It cost me, I think, another $200 a year. So something like that. All right. So call to action. I encourage you to go out right now, look at your structure, and figure out what's the best choice for you. There are plenty of resources, the IRS guidelines, local small business development centers, and of course, hiring a professional accountant and or an attorney. So that's what I would recommend this week is go ahead and see, does what you have in place make sense? Do you need to change your structure for your business or not? So there you go. And if you want to reach out and share your experience, I would love to hear about it. I think it'd be kind of cool. All right, moving forward, segment 3, tip of the week. So this week's tip is create a file and a folder for your 2024 taxes if you're in the States. Do it right now, don't wait. That way, as the mail starts coming in this next week or two, you get the 1099s, you get W-2s from your partner or your jobs that you may have and other people in your household. You know where to put them and you know when they're ready to have when you want to start your filing of your taxes for 2024. Also, you might consider receipts, medical, auto registrations, documentations, donations, because much of that can be deductible in different ways, but it's easier to have it at hand when you need it versus looking for it last minute when you're going to file your taxes before April 15th here in the US. And to be honest, this is one of the things I'm really good at, being up to date on reconciling on the folder of having that data ready. What I'm not great at is reconciling my accounts. I'm a little behind on that still. So it's a problem. I got to work on that, but that's for a different episode. Anyway, that's it. Go start that folder, get your taxes and prepare your stuff so you're not falling behind and stay ahead of the game there. All right. That's it for this week. Let me wrap it up. If you have any questions, go ahead, send it in via email, adam@KitchensinkWP.com, or use that speak pipe function on the website. If you want to support the show, become a Patreon. That'd be great. You can buy me a coffee also. Links on the website. You can sponsor the show. You can do that based on filling out that form. I'll get right back to you. Thanks to Rapid.cloud for supporting the podcast. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. All right. Bye-bye.